Hey guys, it's Mike coming here from beautiful Orlando, Florida. It's been raining like crazy. Uh, as you know, I moved down here 2018. I had a beautiful house in Georgia. I liked it. It was just time to get some warmer weather and a bit of a change. My old house had some nice features. It was pre-wired for Ethernet. I had Cat 6 throughout the whole house. This house doesn't. The other house, being in Georgia, was made out of wood, so Wi-Fi flowed beautifully. This house being in Florida and the hurricane weather and the lessons from the Three Pigs, this house is made out of concrete, so Wi-Fi is not quite as good. But one thing I do have here that I did not have when I was in Georgia is a choice of internet providers. So when I first moved down here in 2018, I signed up for the same service that I actually had in the Atlanta area. Used to be called Charter, then I went to Charter Spectrum, now I think it's just called Spectrum. Well, they were the primary presence down here as well, and it was pretty much the same service. 100 megabits down. At the time, it was 5 megabits up. Now it's 10 megabits up. Such a great improvement. And it's been pretty solid. I mean, and then over the last, I guess, for a few months at the beginning of the summer, the internet would drop on me. I think like 3 times a month for a couple hours at a time, which is a bit frustrating when you're working from home thanks to COVID-19 and your kid was on virtual learning thanks to COVID-19 to have your internet go down. You can only tether so much on your phone, and unfortunately my work phone is with AT&T, and they tend to try to throttle me as soon as I get to, I don't know, 15 gigabytes, which with video calls and Microsoft Teams, which my son at the time was using for school as well, you burn through that pretty quick. So, and I think I was paying maybe $85 a month for the service. Another ISP rode into town and showed up with a great story. The company was called CenturyLink, and they ran fiber optic throughout our neighborhood. And they came in and said, for $65 a month, we'll give you unlimited data, great, 1,000 megabits up and down. Surely this can't be true. Surely that can't work. And don't ever call me Shirley. But it's too much to pass up. So I signed up for it. And they have this prepaid thing called My Simple Pay. So I signed up for it. And I canceled my Spectrum account. So they came out, actually, first. And this should have been my first warning. I signed up for the My Simple Pay on their webpage. I sent them their prerequisite $65, and they gave me a date that they were going to come out and hook up my service. That date came, that date went. I called them up. I said, when are you coming? And they were like, oh, sorry, we'll reschedule it. Oh, you don't have an account. So I had to send them actual printouts. Always take printouts when you pay for something of my sign up, the scheduled date, and when they were supposed to show up. Okay, first person basically hung up on me. Called back CenturyLink again. Spoke to somebody else. Went through the whole story again. And when I say you got to call them back, there's never been a time I haven't called them where they said, we are experiencing high call volume, yada, yada, yada. So every time I call them, I have to sit on the phone for likely 45 minutes to an hour just to talk to somebody. So now I'm on the phone again. I go through the entire story again, and that person says, oh, yeah, we had something wrong with our IT system. You'll have to sign up again. So somehow they managed to, I hope they did. I don't know if I followed up, but they refunded me the initial $65. I had to go through the process again, get another installation date, which is now 2 weeks later than the initial one. Okay, I'm glad I didn't tell Charter to disconnect me till the end of, or Spectrum disconnect me till the end of the month. And actually I had a little bit of a side note. I had 2 Spectrum accounts. My wife and I actually tried to get an apartment a little bit north of here, and that didn't work out because what I did not know, it's been so long since I was in apartments, they bulk buy the internet for the apartment building, and they'll charge you $100 a month, and you don't have a choice. You've got to pay it whether you keep that service or not. The service they had, I kid you not, was I think 10 megabits per second down, 1 megabit up. Are we in 1985? Okay, maybe 1995. That's ridiculous. So you couldn't work from home if you tried there. So we ended up paying the early termination fee getting out of that apartment. So beware if you go apartment shopping. Ask the questions about the internet. Okay? Don't make the mistake this guy did. Anyway, going back to my story at this house. So CenturyLink gives me a date. They come out. They dig up my lawn and put the cable to the side of the house. They put this powered device on the side of the house, which converts fiber into Ethernet. And then, which I'm glad I happen to have an outlet on the outside of the house. I don't know what they would have done if I didn't, but there was one there. So, yay. And then I found out this house was only built in 2018, that nowadays they almost never run phone lines through your house. So there's one phone line in this house, and it's in the master bedroom downstairs, which is not the ideal location for the router, but it has to go there because it comes in over a phone line you plug the Ethernet cable into. So we made it work. Plugged it in, and I set up a couple of my old Asus routers as repeaters through the house, and we're up and running. And for the first time in my life, I had internet service that outpaced my local network. I could not saturate the network with 1,000 megabits up and down. The speed test, when I ran it, I think we were running into some bottlenecks on that because it would only speed test to 400 or 500 megabits, but I'm thinking that there was other things holding it up. The uplink speed test was constantly hitting 1,000, so it was great to upload things like these YouTube videos. Anyway, after 2 months of service, and these guys spending whatever money they spent to come out here and put this box in my house and dig up the cable, I mean, it's got to be investment of probably $1,000 on their part, if not more. I go to pay my bill on the 16th of this month. Apparently, you have to be auto pay, and my debit card had gotten lost. I replaced my debit card. So when I went to renew it, it suspended the service for lack of payment. Okay, fine. I get online. You type in a new number, and it's supposed to reactivate your service. Except it didn't. So they suspended me on the 16th. I sent them the money on the 16th. It cleared my bank on the 16th. I still didn't have service. I called them up. They said, oh yeah, it might take 24 hours. Oh, Lord almighty. So I don't have internet for a day and a Monday when I got to work. I think it was Monday, maybe it was a Sunday. But anyway, I'm fine. I'm a patient man. I wait till the next day. Still no service. I call them up. Hey, what's going on? Oh, we don't know. It looks like it should be working. Now again, this is every time I call them. At least an hour on the phone. Okay? Never a good answer. Call them again. Should be working. Finally, somebody tells me, we're having trouble with our billing system. This is happening to a lot of people. Once we deactivated everybody, we can't seem to reactivate everyone. But don't worry, it'll be fixed this afternoon. This on the 17th. Okay. Call them back on the 18th. Same problem. Okay. I'm trying to run a project at work. My cell phone data is capped out thanks to AT&T. We've went through this before. So every morning I'm getting up and I can't even check my bloody email because of this thing. So I drive all the way down to Starbucks and I camp out there for a day. I now know everybody that works at Starbucks. They're nice people, but it's not the best business environment while you're trying to do a conference call and you got coffee machines going and people screaming, and for some reason every time I got a conference call, they crank up the music. It's awful. I tried a couple different locations, but it just was bad. So I told them on the 18th, I said, if you guys can't have this fixed by tomorrow, I got to find other avenues. So that's what I told CenturyLink. And I'm convinced that there is nobody you're going to talk to on the phone at CenturyLink that cares at all about their customers. It's not one phone call I made that I happened to get the wrong person. It's not 2 phone calls I made that I happened to get the wrong person. I've called them, and I can list on this video if you want. I can list every single time I called them, every single time I got onto the chat, and just nobody at CenturyLink cares at all about the end customer. As of the time of making this video, that service was still down. I canceled it about 10 minutes ago. That service was still down, and they still can't tell me when it's going to be fixed. Okay? So what I did is, yesterday, I went over to Spectrum, and I'm like, guys, I canceled the service with you about 2 months ago. Pretty sure the wiring still works in my house. What would it take for me to pick up a cable modem from you and reactivate my service. And they said, you went to CenturyLink, didn't you? I said, yeah. She goes, we're getting a lot of people coming back after a month or two and asking for their stuff back. So they were actually really nice to me. They gave me 2 free months of internet. They gave me a discount on streaming TV. I don't know if I'll keep it or not, but I don't have TV in the house right now, so it's fun to play with for a little bit. And I went back to the 100 megabit down, or 10 megabit up, which is lousy to upload videos. But when it's all said and done, I'm going to be paying about $20 a month more for that than it was for the CenturyLink. But here's what it comes down to. Spectrum has, at least for me, always given me decent customer service. They've at least pretended to care about what my problem is. So, from a businessman's perspective, this is important. Okay, I am paying more for a company with inferior technology and inferior service and considerably slower speeds because I know that it's going to be reliable mostly, and when it's not, I know they're going to be able to tell me when it's going to be fixed so I can plan my work around that. Okay? You can't spend all this money investing and building out an infrastructure in a neighborhood, spending hundreds, if not $1,000, to run equipment to somebody's house to set it up so that when it fails, you just scratch your head and scratch your ass and go, I don't know when it's going to be fixed. Just be patient, young man. Or in my case, old man. It's ridiculous. And especially now in this COVID-19 environment where we are working from home and our kids are more dependent on technology for school than ever. My 12-year-old son, is back in a classroom, which is okay, but when he comes home, they do their work collaboratively over Microsoft Teams. So when he can't do that, it impacts his schoolwork as well. And I can't take my son out to Starbucks for a couple hours every night to do his homework. So, I mean, if they could have at least just told me how long it's going to be to repair, it's fine. But even when I just called the cancellation agent, and by the way, I think I have one other tech support person I liked, but other than those two, and this cancellation person is probably the most polite person and the one at least seemed a little more empathetic at CenturyLink than anybody else. Everybody else basically didn't give a rat's ass about my problem right now. They're happy to take my money. Beyond that, they don't give a rat's ass. And that includes their social media people who are more rude than the people on the phone. Sorry, I'm going to be blunt. I've just dealt with these guys for 5 days of a nightmare. It's the 21st now, okay? And the lady at cancellation goes, we hope to have you back one day. And I'm like, probably not. Unless something really changes. I mean, they have a great product. What good is it if you can't get people to use it or you can't keep it stable? Anyway, that's that. But what I'm trying to say is people rely on, my opinion, as a business person, they count on reliability. They want transparency. They want a company that at least seems to focus on the customer. My business philosophy, you've heard me say this before, is do whatever it takes to obtain and retain a customer. That's all you need to do. The rest happens automatically. Not every customer is going to be reasonable, and certainly if they're toxic, you don't go after that particular customer. But most reasonable customers that come to you for a product or a service, do what you can to get that customer and then keep that customer, and you don't have to worry about anything else in your business. It's just going to work. It's amazing to me how some of these companies get so, I don't even know the right words, just so dysfunctional. Or maybe the money's just flowing in so much that they make money in spite of themselves. I've seen multiple companies, especially larger companies, that manage to pull that off. Eventually it's going to fall apart. I mean, eventually every business is going to fail, and your goal as an executive of a company is to postpone that day as long as possible, okay? Every one of us has a shelf life with what we're worth, and our goal is to keep that date out as long as possible. Anyway, if CenturyLink, and I very rarely bash products, I like to endorse good products. I like to say good things about good companies. In this case, I can't about CenturyLink. It's if they show up in your neighborhood with cheap prices and great speeds, don't sign up. You're gonna regret it. I promise you, you're gonna regret it. Maybe you're lucky enough. I had one neighbor. He says he was with them for 18 years, and he says, I love him. I said, oh, I said, you've had good customer service experience? And he said to me, I don't think I've ever had to call customer service. Well, that's great. If it keeps working and it never fails, I envy that guy. Um, but if you have to actually call their customer service for something and they're ill-equipped to help you, like in this case, I mean, this cost me significantly in business opportunities, in my reputation, because nobody wants to be on a business call with somebody running a project when you hear Starbucks people in the background, or if I had to go take my call outside, cars revving. It's not professional. It's not professional at all. And one day you can overlook it and say, my internet's down. But if you got to tell the same customer that for 3 days in a row, they're like, what's wrong with you? You can't find a place to get a connection. So anyway, thank you to Charter Spectrum for, I stopped saying Charter, not Charter anymore. Thank you for Spectrum for hooking me up on short notice and rekindling our relationship. And CenturyLink, I hope when you view this video, you take it as constructive criticism and hopefully change your way of doing business. But I don't think you will. I really don't. Anyway, this is Mike, and I had another video on some studio lights I know I made and it didn't post. I don't know where it is. I got to find the footage now. I've been so busy between projects and the move and getting my wife a job. She just got her green card, by the way. Yay. I've been letting the ball drop on my personal things here, such as this channel. So I'm gonna try to get that straightened out. Anyway, this is Mike. I'm gonna post this tonight. Take care, y'all.